And my last point to you, you do not sell your Bitcoin.
Right now, you just raised Fed funds to 4 3/4. All right, you have your PCE deflator 4.4. This is the first time in years that you've had the Fed funds rate higher than the PCE deflator. That by alone, he doesn't have to raise rates anymore. The markets will do the rest for him, and the markets do not believe he is going to tighten further. This was a more than dovish, not quite in the dovish camp. This is a neutral to dovish speech, and people were looking for a very hawkish speech, and he didn't give it. Having said all that, I always wait 18 hours before I really take the full effect of what the Fed has said.
18, not even 12. Okay, Peter Schiff, what did you hear? I heard an osprey. I heard a hawk saying over and over again, the job is not done. Andy thinks this very well could be the last rate hike. What do you think? What did you hear?
Well, it may be so, but not because inflation is coming down. Inflation is going to get much worse. In fact, what I heard from Fed Chair Powell was a lot of economic ignorance, especially when it comes to inflation. First of all, he said that he welcomes the disinflation. That disinflation is transitory. Maybe he doesn't realize that yet, but it is. But he also claimed that inflation is caused by consumer expectations. He's wrong. Expectations don't cause inflation. Neither do wages and prices. He said he was worried that maybe a wage price spiral could develop, and that's why the Fed wants to make sure it doesn't happen. The wage price spiral was a fiction invented by Keynesians. Inflation is caused by the government. It's caused by the Federal Reserve printing money and then Congress spending money. That's it. And spending is going up. In fact, he encouraged Congress to raise the debt ceiling so Congress can borrow and spend even more money. Ultimately, the Fed is going to monetize that debt. And we've only seen the beginning of inflation. And in fact, Powell said that inflation is creating misery for families. It's the government that's creating that misery and the Fed, because they're the ones that are creating the inflation.
Well, you push both of you on this. I didn't hear what you heard. I heard there are more rates to come, and there's a very big danger in stopping short. Let's listen to what he said that jumped out at me.
The risk of doing too little and finding out in 6 or 12 months that we actually were close but didn't get the job done, and inflation springs back and we have to go back in. And now you really do worry about expectations getting unanchored and that kind of thing. This is a very difficult risk to manage. Whereas, of course, we have no incentive and no desire to over tighten, but if we feel like we've gone too far, we can certainly and inflation is coming down faster than we expect, then we have tools that would work on that. So I do think that in this situation where we have still the highest inflation in 40 years, the job is not fully done.
Okay.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And we have Peter Schiff coming in with half the truth. We know these fund managers are not going to give us the whole truth, but he does come with some truth. The Fed is not finished, and inflation for consumers are not going anywhere because we know it's all about corporate greed. And also, the emerging markets are taking over. And you guys know on this channel, and then also on the stock channel, I told you that the emerging markets are going to lead us in the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take over the economy, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse getting that free money. But mainstream media is not going to tell you about the digital transformation until it's already here. Remember, the NWO moves in phases. First, we had blockchain, then we have Bitcoin, altcoins, and DeFi, followed by that NFTs, and now AI. And we know this is the last step, the robots, algorithms, and drones. So we know the 2030 agenda has definitely been moved up. And we know the fourth industrial revolution does not work without digital money. We're going into a cashless society, and the physical world will become digital. And that's the same thing when it comes to gold. Gold is definitely important because we know the central banks have all of it stored. But gold is going to be tokenized like everything else. Everything is going to be on blockchain and tokenized. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
In more instances, and if you listen to the very end of what he just said, he said we have the tools that if inflation were to come down faster, we could do things, meaning they can ease. I still stand by the fact that this is the last rate increase, and the Fed eases by the middle or the third quarter of this year.
And Peter, what is the danger of that?
Well, inflation is going to run out of control. But remember, they've already slowed down the pace. They only went 25 basis points. And even if we get a couple of more 25 basis point hikes, it's not nearly enough. And also, you have to look at the effect that higher rates have had on consumer behavior, which is pretty much nothing, because credit card debt is at an all-time high. Savings are at an all-time low. So the higher interest rates have not stopped spending and encouraged savings, which is exactly what has to happen to bring down inflation. Meanwhile, as I said earlier, the government continues to increase spending. And if Powell thinks that a slowdown in the economy is going to reduce inflation, he's wrong again. That's actually going to fuel the inflation fire. So the real risk is that we end up with a financial crisis and a much more severe recession than the Fed recognizes. And then the Fed tries to prop up the economy and try to stimulate or combat the financial crisis by creating even more inflation.
I need to get to the because you've got two funds that have just been ranked #1 and #3 in the international fund area. And specifically, these are by U.S. News and World Report, foreign large cap value. You're #1 for your dividend paying fund, and you're #3 for your foreign large value fund, international. And we can show some of the holdings in here, but you're beating Goldman Sachs is #2, but you're beating, Vanguard and some of the biggest funds. What is it about foreign large cap value stocks that are good in this atmosphere?
Well, first of all those funds are in foreign large cap value stocks. So we've just got better stock picking and better sector allocations. But first of all, on bonds, I think bonds are a sucker bet. I mean, even if you're talking about 5 or 6% yield, inflation is going to average more than 5% over every one of those years. So you're going to lose money in bonds. If you want to avoid losing to inflation, you've got to get out of dollar denominated assets. And foreign dividend paying stocks are a great place to look, because you can get dividend yields that are as high or higher than some of these bond yields, but you have real assets that can rise in price as inflation continues to erode away the value of the dollar. And, last year the dollar was up, and that subtracted from the returns on my funds. But so far this year, the dollar is down. In fact, today it just hit a new low for the year as gold hit a new high for the year. And I think this could end up being one of the worst years ever for the U.S. dollar, and therefore one of the best years ever maybe for gold.
Yeah, gold's
and so investors should be looking there. I have a gold fund and also emerging markets, which, lagged last year. They're beating the U.S. market so far this year. And I think a weak dollar is going to be particularly bullish for the emerging markets. So investors should be looking there rather than U.S. stocks or U.S. bonds.
Going to a different economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
The Stock Channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Long COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.